Hey guys, Danny here, hope you're doing well. Today we are looking at a drone, and if you thought that intro was impressive, it was shot of course using this product, so you'll want to stick around for the rest of this review. This product was sent to me for review from Hubsan, so thanks to them for that. As always, if you'd like to pick it up and support my channel, you can find links down below. I have the version of this product which comes with a storage bag, and I also have the 2 battery version, which I always recommend picking up at least 2 batteries if you're going to be buying a drone, as they can sometimes be harder to pick up later on, and 2 is just always nicer because it gives you a longer flying time. You can just quickly swap out the batteries. If you are thinking of picking up this product, I would recommend going with the option that comes with the storage bag, mainly because it helps keep things so organized. It looks really professional if you was to turn up with this on maybe a job, and it's just really good at keeping all of your stuff in one place and organized and easy to get to. Of course, let's take a look at the drone. It's pretty big as you can see, and it does feel quite hefty in the hand. It weighs 926 grams, so it's of course not the lightest drone you're ever going to see, but because of this large size, you do get a lot of technology inside here. You also get a very large battery, a gimbal, downward facing sensors to help keep the drone stabilized, and just very good wind resistance because of its size and power. Let's take a closer look at the camera, and I'll read off some specs for you as well. So of course this is a 3-axis gimbaled camera. It has a max image transmission distance of 9 kilometers, which is very impressive, and it has a range of resolutions and frame rates that are supported. It can go up to 4K at 60 frames a second, and it can go all the way down to 720p at 200 frames a second. It also supports 1080p at 120 frames per second, which is very impressive, and I like that they've included a range of resolutions and frame rates to choose from, as some of these higher frame rates will be useful to some people depending on what type of footage you're aiming to get. On the side there's a protective flap which hides the micro SD and also a micro USB port as well. The batteries are very easy to take in and out of the drone. They use this little latch system which is very satisfying as it clicks into place and locks the batteries, so there's no chance that they'll fall out. The batteries being used have a capacity of 3,800 milliamp hours, and I will be showing you a few extra features they have in just a moment. Overall, I was pretty pleased with the controller. If I was to be a little bit nitpicky, I would have liked maybe a slightly higher end finish on the controller, as it is mostly finished in plastic. Beside the sticks, which are metal and are stored where the phone holder is and can be simply screwed into the top. But overall, I was quite happy with the controller. All the buttons are nice and labeled, so you won't forget which ones are which, and you'll learn them very quickly. The metal thumbsticks are hidden away in these little separate compartments underneath the phone holder, so it just makes the controller even more compact and probably removes any risk of them getting damaged or snapped if you're transferring and moving this around. I've always preferred controllers that have built-in phone holders because it's just something that you can't lose. Having extra pieces or parts that attach on, you break them, they lose them. I just prefer this style. You may prefer something slightly different, but I think this will work for most people. You'll see there is a bit more give to it, so if your phone is larger than mine, it will still fit. I feel this will fit most phones, unless you have a very big phone, then maybe you're going to have some problems, but for most of you I think it'll be just fine. The controller also has a built-in 3,350 milliamp hour battery which can be recharged using the USB, micro USB I should say, slot on the side, which again is something I do like. No more fumbling with batteries. I'm not sure if you can change this out. There is some screws on the back, but I haven't checked that. I'll have to confirm. As you would expect for a drone at this price point, the feed is sent to the controller and then transferred via the cable to your smartphone, so you should get a very solid connection. If your smartphone doesn't support USB-C like mine, don't worry, you get a lightning cable adapter and also a standard micro USB as well. In the box you also get a micro USB cable for charging the controller, your wall plug. I'm in the UK, so it's a 3-pin wall plug. You also get 2 propeller packs, and one also comes with a screwdriver to fit them as well. Here's where things get a little bit more interesting. This is something I haven't seen before in a drone. So with both the batteries I received with this product, they came with these adapters, so they're used to charge the battery, but you can also use them to be used as power banks as well, which is very interesting. So once you've attached this piece on top, they have a in and out for the power, and also you'll see there's a standard USB on the top. Now the way you actually use these as power banks took me a little while to figure out, but you actually turn these batteries on the same way you would when you power on the drone. Once you've done this, you can then attach a USB cable and charge your device that you choose. So although it is a little bit gimmicky, I can't see people using these as power banks very often. It's an extra feature that's nice to have. And you also get an additional feature with these connectors, and that is you're able to link up to 5 batteries in kind of a chain, and it will charge them one at a time. So from what I could make out, when one battery finished charging, it will then trickle through and start charging the next battery, which is a really nice system, because if you have a bunch of these, you can just plug them all in and forget about them using the adjoining cable that it comes with. Of course, finally, the part you've all been waiting for, we're now going to move on to the flight test. The initial setup for the drone was pretty straightforward. It does have some odd button presses to turn on the controller and the drone, so I did have to take a look in the manual. But other than that, getting the controller, the drone and my smartphone all paired up and working together was pretty painless. Of course, you are prompted to do a compass calibration, which you should always do, which helps of course the drone stabilize, and there's also some other calibrations you can do as well, which I always recommend doing all of them just to be safe. Something that I thought was worth mentioning, when I switched into camera mode and started to try and record in 4K, I received a warning message saying you're not able to record in 4K while you're viewing the video feed in HD. I found this a little bit strange. I'm not entirely sure why this is. I'm sure there's probably a good explanation I'm not aware of, but you'll see the message pop up. I then go into the settings and switch off the, I believe it's called, here we go, the FPV HD mode. I switched that off, and then I was able to record at 4K at 60 frames a second. Here I do my usual test. I take the drone off, I turn it facing towards me, and I then take my hands off of the controls to see how stable it hovers. You'll see at the top right of the screen I'm connected to 13 satellites. The minimum recommended is 6. I'm not sure if it stops you from taking off if you're below that. I think there's an option you can toggle on or off, but 13 is a good number. I then take the drone away from me just to see how well the gimbal's working, and you'll see the Wi-Fi feed, the stabilization of the video is very crisp. Even when shifting the drone backwards and forwards, it remains really stable and nice, so I was really happy with the quality there. Both the controller and the smartphone app were really easy and concise to use. I felt like I had a lot of control over this drone at all times. All the warning messages, information on the controller and the screen were all great. So you'll always feel like you have the most information available to you when you're flying this drone. And this is the shot that came from the intro for my video. The gimbal can be adjusted up or down using your controller or by using the app on your smartphone. By default, the gimbal panning speed is really low. I find this on most drones, so you'll be sitting there for about a week for it to pan up and down, but luckily you can change the gimbal speed. So I put this up to like 50 or 60. I think it goes up to 100, so you can change that in the settings. I then decided to do a short range test. Please note, I know some of you will probably be disappointed with this, but I will not be doing a crazy range test because I'm just not in an appropriate location. If I was quadcopter 101 and I could drive to the desert, I would fly this thing, you know, miles from me, but I can't really realistically do it where I am. So I just did a short range test to see how the Wi-Fi feed held up, and non-surprisingly it performed fine because this is only a short distance. This drone is capable of an image transmission distance of up to 9 kilometers, which is pretty crazy. But the feed held up great most of the time. You will notice earlier on there was a little bit of interference. I don't know what that was from. I think that was just a one-off. But while the drone was away from me, it looked really crisp most of the time. And don't forget, I have the Wi-Fi feed on the lowest setting, so I can record in 4K. Once I hit the return to home button, you'll see that it then changes in the app that it's returning to me, and it slowly raised up and turned around and headed back to me. It did this pretty promptly. The part where it goes up and turns around was a little bit slow. Most drones perform this a little bit faster, but I was pretty happy with how it came back, how quickly it came back. It doesn't come back to exactly where I took off from, but it's more than close enough. Most drones will return to within a few meters of where you took off from. None of them will land from the exact spot unless maybe they have some sort of image recognition system, because GPS is only accurate to a certain point. So it did return really close to where I took off from, and I then panned the camera down so we get another nice shot of the drone coming back.
Well. Whoa.
In this clip here, I have turned on the HD video feed. You can be the judge yourself if you think this looks better. I'm looking at this through my video editor preview screen, so it's not the best way to look at it, but it does look a bit crisper, at least on my end. This drone has your standard follow me mode, which will follow the GPS signal from your phone and try and orientate the drone so it follows you. This is often not a very good method as it doesn't work very well. It's too reliant on GPS signal from both your drone and your smartphone being very accurate to the point that your drone can track you, which often doesn't go very well. But this also has a active track feature which enables you to draw a box around an object and the drone will do its best to follow it. You'll notice there's a button that pops up that says go, and I didn't realize I was supposed to press that, but the drone still does follow me. You can see I'm running around like a lunatic. People are probably wondering what the hell I'm doing, but all for the YouTube reviews, of course. You'll notice the drone doesn't follow me. I think that's because I haven't hit the go button, and then the second time round I hit the go button and the drone does start to change its position. The second time I did it, for some reason, sorry, not the second time, once I hit go it then started to move back. I then noticed though, when I started to move the opposite direction away from the drone, it didn't follow me, which was strange. So it would back up but it wouldn't approach me, which was a little bit strange. Maybe this was just a one-off, and I need to test this feature again to see if it works a little bit better. But you'll see it track me really great, especially if I'm walking around the drone in a circle and including moving pretty fast. There will be an optimal distance for this to work, so you'll see when I get further away it doesn't work so well. And there's also a clip that you don't see where I get too close to the drone, so I'm almost underneath it and it loses track of me. So it's not going to work perfectly, but for the most part I did find this feature quite impressive, and I think for the type of stuff you're going to use it for, it will work pretty well. Here I'm manually moving the drone, but hopefully this shows you the feature and what it's capable of doing. Next we're going to take a look at the orbit mode. Now I'm not going to be going through every feature because this video would be incredibly long, but I will show you this one. And one thing I want to mention is throughout my experience using this drone, I was very happy with the app and the user interface in general. It's very intuitive and guides you through each step and tells you what's going to happen. And here I actually have the drone, so it's at the correct altitude, so you can see the number is green, but I'm not far away enough from it for it to orbit me, so you'll see that the radius is red. So you get these really clear indications of why something's happening, why something is not happening, warning messages, notifications. The app is really well laid out and very user friendly, which is often a strong point of Hubsan products. So I was really happy with the app and the user experience in general. The orbit mode worked pretty well. You can see it's slightly off here because I didn't really take any time to fine tune it. I just flipped it on and started it straight away because I wanted to do it before the battery got too low. But there's a lot of stuff you can play around with. You can change the orbit speed and you get a lot of useful information on screen, and you can cancel it at any time. So all of the smart features for me performed pretty well. I think as good as they will do for how accurate GPS is. I didn't have any problems there, so a thumbs up. One area GPS drones can often be lacking in is having a decent sport mode or very good maneuverability. When you simply want to turn your drone into a fun flyer, you're not interested in getting cool shots, you just want to fly the drone around and have fun. So how does this drone perform as a fun flyer? Well, I was pleasantly surprised. It's pretty capable of giving you a pretty fun flying experience if you switch it into expert mode. So you have 3 different modes. There's film mode, normal mode and expert mode. Film mode simply turns the yaw and pitch speed right down so your controls move the drone very slowly. This is really good for precise landing and of course getting really nice panning shots because you can move the camera really nice and slowly. Normal mode gives you a little bit more speed and expert simply ramps it up even more. Now, me being someone who loves manual control, I would love to be able to have even more pitch and yaw speed because this drone felt like it had a ton of power, but you can see it's still really fun and capable of some impressive maneuverability. So if you are interested in having a drone that's good for GPS and as a camera drone with stable video, but also has the ability to be a fun flyer, then I think this has quite a good balance. While it's not going to be comparable to an FPV flyer or a drone that's built to be a sports drone, I definitely had a lot of fun flying this in expert mode. There may be some additional settings you can play around with. I couldn't see a actual sport mode. There may be one, but there only seem to be 3 modes I could switch between. But I did have a lot of fun in this part of the review, so thumbs up there. Unsurprisingly, a drone at this price point should have a good camera, and this drone doesn't disappoint in my opinion. While I haven't reviewed a ton of drones around this price point, so my ability to compare this with other drones in a similar price range is limited, I was very impressed with the quality that this camera is able to put out. When you compare this to my action camera that I only bought a few years ago for I think £300 or £400, this is outputting, I would say, better quality and performs better in some conditions. So I was very impressed with the image quality, the smoothness of the ability to record at 60 frames a second. I just generally found the camera a joy to use, and come back and look at the recordings that this is able to put out. It might not be as crisp and as good as some of the other drones that are out there, but for me personally, I really enjoyed the overall experience and quality of this camera, and it's also able to produce some pretty good pictures too. And that brings us to the end of this review. My final thoughts on this product are generally very good. Although this has a high price point, I felt that it was professional and easy to use with a great user experience. I was really pleased with the camera and how the drone performed on many different aspects, such as in GPS mode and as a fun flyer. I would of course get a second opinion on this product and also see how it performs on range tests, as for a drone at this high price point, this is an area that it needs to perform very good at, and was something I was unable to test in this review. So if you have tested this drone and you have any comments about what you think of it, please leave a comment down below. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing for more videos like this one. And of course, I will see you in the next one.